CBS News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Makovec.
Thanks for joining us this Thursday afternoon. A crypto billionaire making a big donation to help San Francisco police fight crime. This morning, Mayor Daniel Lurie announced a $9.4 million donation from Ripple founder Chris Larson to help upgrade the department's surveillance technology. That includes a new location for the Real-Time Investigation Center, known as Arctic. The center brings together live data from drones, surveillance cameras, and automated license plate readers, providing first responders with real-time information. Lurie says the center has helped with more than 500 arrests since its launch and 32 arrests just this week. Back in April, we got a tour of its previous location at the Hall of Justice. Now the center is moving to a vacant office in the financial district next to the Transamerica Tower.
It gives the team room to grow. It ensures they're fully operational in a crisis, and it puts them right in the heart of downtown, where they can best serve every neighborhood across San Francisco.
Outgoing Police Chief Bill Scott credited the Arctic for a drop in car burglaries, which are down 73% over the past 2 years. The San Mateo County Board of Supervisors is going to be voting today on the next steps to remove their sheriff, Christina Corpus. The board is supposed to approve the removal procedures and vote to issue a written notice to the sheriff of their intent to remove her from office. The sheriff has been under scrutiny ever since an independent report accused her of bullying, misconduct, and abuse of power. She denies those allegations. The board was given the power to remove the sheriff with a 4/5 vote when voters approved Measure A back in March. New round of ICE arrests in the Bay Area sparking outrage with children among the families detained in San Francisco. According to immigration advocates, ICE took at least 15 people into custody who had showed up for routine check-in appointments at an ICE field office on Sansom Street. One of them was a 3-year-old, along with several other children. ICE has been ramping up arrests in public places as part of the Trump administration's promised immigration crackdown. Yesterday in San Jose, our chopper was overhead as ICE agents in unmarked vehicles gathered behind the Chavez supermarket near Blossom Hill Road. Witnesses say at least one person was detained, and on Tuesday, 4 other people were detained nearby. An ICE spokesperson tells us that the people arrested in San Jose had executable orders of removal by an immigration judge and were not complying. We're still waiting to hear about the latest arrests in San Francisco. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just released a statement on the ICE arrest saying, quote, "It is stupid that ICE is now arresting families and children for obeying the law. The detained immigrants were diligently cooperating with law enforcement and complying with the law." Meanwhile, President Trump reviving his travel ban from his first term. That ban starts Monday and bars citizens from 12 countries from entering the U.S. Here's a look at the countries, largely in the Middle East and Africa. 7 others are facing heightened restrictions. The administration says this measure is needed to address terrorism concerns in the countries listed. It also said the countries lacked screening and vetting capabilities. Tariffs and trade relations, a big focus for President Trump today. Earlier, he and the president of China spoke over the phone for an hour and a half amid escalating tensions between the world's 2 largest economies. Trump says it went well.
We have a deal with China, as you know, but we were straightening out some of the points.
Also today, the president hosted Germany's new chancellor to discuss tariffs and Ukraine. 2 bills that could overturn the will of California voters are making their way through Congress. At issue, California's Prop 12, which mandates minimum cage sizes for animals raised for meat. California voters passed the proposition in 2018 by a margin of 2-1. It said that pork sold in California must come from pigs that, when they were alive, had at least enough space to turn around. I spoke with some pig farmers here and across the country about the uncertainty in the market. On a quiet day in Windsor, the sows and boars on this little farm soak in the sunshine and the mud.
I figure, these animals are giving us so much, might as well give them as good a life as they can.
Jeffrey Kent has been raising pigs for as long as he can remember, and for the 100 or so now on his farm, it's a life of free range.
It creates a much more natural life and creates a much happier pig, which in the end creates a much better product.
When California voters passed Prop 12 in 2018, it reaffirmed what he already knew.
Oh, yeah.
A recent survey from the nonprofit World Animal Protection found that 80% of consumers felt concerned when they learned about the treatment of factory-farmed pigs.
They can't move. They can't be a real animal.
An estimated 2/3 of factory farms house sows like this. No mud, no movement, just metal crates where they're artificially inseminated and standing over their own waste. This is video from animal rights group Animal Equality of conditions in a factory farm in Kansas. Under Prop 12, meat from these conditions is banned in California, but now new federal bills could wipe that away, allowing meat from crated animals to be sold here again as long as they're raised elsewhere. Lawmakers that represent the highest pig-producing states are pushing for the law, like Roger Marshall, who sent us a statement saying Midwest farmers and ranchers who produce our nation's food supply should not be hamstrung by coastal activist agendas that dictate production standards from hundreds of miles away. But some pig farmers like Brent Hershey in Pennsylvania already changed his operations to comply with California's rules.
As that all evolved, I started to see that we can't defend this.
Now he's left wondering where his business stands.
Because we've changed and spent capital to satisfy those markets. And we would say that that's very disruptive then, as you've done that, to then eliminate it or rip it out.
Back in California, Kent always went beyond what the law required anyway.
To be honest, I don't think I actually compete with them at all, because the customers that I have aren't interested in buying that kind of meat.
And on the day of our visit, a surprise in the back of the field, a new litter born the day before.
You know, you can hear the snorting back and forth. Yeah, it's pretty great to see the community and the mothering instincts that they have.
These babies, too, will eventually end up slaughtered when Jeffrey deems the time is right. But during their time growing up here, they're guaranteed the simple things in life: water, mud, and a little room to roam. Now, of course, we reached out to the National Pork Producers Council, the American Farm Bureau, and the Iowa Pork Producers Association, all of whom opposed Prop 12. They all support these newly proposed laws, but no one wanted to go on camera to discuss it. And we did get a statement from California Senator Adam Schiff, who strongly supports Prop 12. He says that any attempt to overturn the law will face strong opposition and that Congress should respect the decision of California voters. Still ahead here at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area. Members of the transgender community say they've been facing attacks while walking on the street. A community center in the Bay Area is helping them fight back. And later, it was an event that changed the course of World War II. We are following a Bay Area veteran on his journey to honor the fallen in France.
And we're looking at those typical June conditions. The fog has peeled back. You can see a beautiful view of the Golden Gate. I'll let you know how long these very summer-like June weather conditions will stick around for coming up.
Evacuation orders issued in the Central Valley as a 220-acre wildfire is burning near the Grapevine. The fire was reported just before midnight along southbound I-5 near Lebec. As of right now, that fire is 5% contained. The Kern County Fire Department is asking people to prepare to leave their homes in case the fire continues to spread. Meantime, it is an apocalyptic scene in Manitoba, Canada. Wildfires there have darkened the skies, causing dangerous conditions. At least 33,000 people have been forced to leave their homes as dozens of wildfires burn across 3 provinces. Smoke is impacting air quality in parts of the U.S., including Minnesota and Wisconsin, and the Bay Area, also under an air quality advisory from those wildfires. Taking a live look outside at the Santa Clara Valley. It is a gorgeous day, so the smoke does not seem to be too big of a deal around here. Let's check in with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Just want to really quick, since you mentioned the smoke, show you it's not really impacting us nearly as much as other parts of the United States. We are on the West Coast where we're dealing with a high pressure that's basically keeping all of the smoke from the wildfires off and away. It's mostly across the eastern half of the United States. And again, again, look at the difference between the East versus the West Coast. The West Coast is definitely a lot nicer than the East Coast right now when it comes to lacking that wildfire smoke. So yeah, something to keep in mind. The air quality not nearly as bad as it could be. Right now, where we are dealing with impacts is closer to the coast, that fog, that marine layer. A beautiful camera looking at Muir Beach showing you, yeah, that marine layer is still very thick along our coastal communities, but a really cool time lapse showing you how quickly that thick marine layer peeled back, it lifted, and it's a lot of sunshine for our more inland communities. But in the distance, you do still notice a little bit of that marine layer that's going to stick around closer to our coastal communities. But farther inland, plenty of sunshine, gorgeous weather out there. Temperatures warming up into the upper 60s to low 70s, kind of depending on where you're located. Low 60s still across our North Bay that are dealing with a little bit more of that cloud coverage and a little bit more of those windier conditions. We're expecting the cloud coverage and those slightly breezy to windy conditions today to keep those temperatures maybe a degree or two cooler than what they were yesterday. They'll be in the low 60s across our coastal communities compared to mid 60s like what they were yesterday. We'll be in the mid to lower 80s across our inland East Bay communities compared to mid to upper 80s. In fact, Fairfield, you're likely only going to stay in the upper 70s this afternoon because you're going to be dealing with the stronger onshore flow that's being funneled directly through the Golden Gate, and you can kind of follow those colors in yellow that correspond to the slightly cooler air. And again, that cooler air is being brought in by the onshore flow, and it's keeping those temperatures a couple of degrees cooler this afternoon. It's not going to be cold by any means. In fact, it might even be a little bit more comfortable for those of you who do live in our inland communities. By tomorrow, we'll be right back into the upper 80s for the far inland East Bay communities, down into the Santa Clara Valley, mid to lower 80s, and it's going to stay that way basically each and every day for the next 7. It might be a couple of degrees warmer this weekend with plenty of sunshine across our inland communities, and that fog and that marine layer, that's going to be staying pretty thick throughout the coastal communities today and into tomorrow. It will be burning off by Saturday and Sunday, so that's great news if you're planning on heading to the coast this weekend. You should be able to soak up some sunshine, but do expect that marine layer to stick around at least through Friday. Back to you.
No matter what's going on around you.
In honor of Pride Month, the San Jose Police Department raised the Pride flag this morning. SJPD says it is a symbol of unity, inclusivity, and respect, adding it's also a call to action and a reminder that more work needs to be done. This month, CBS News Bay Area is highlighting the triumphs as well as some of the struggles within the LGBTQ community. That includes escalating safety concerns. Local organizations are hosting self-defense classes specifically for trans and queer people. Our Kara St. Cyr shows us how these classes are helping people find their strength and sense of community.
Okay. Wait, can you do it one more time? Sorry.
Cal Lurchie is arming up and ready to fight back.
Okay, so 1, 2, and then push away.
Against an environment they say has become unsafe for people that are transgender.
There's always been violence against trans people. I think it's so important to be able to know peaceful self-defense. I'm not going to be out here punching people in the face, but I still want to be able to safely de-escalate someone in case of a crisis situation.
Eyes open.
Slurs and name-calling are just the tip of the iceberg. Cal says they've been chased with knives and had glass objects thrown at them, just walking on the street. Moments where they felt defenseless.
That's why we train.
But not anymore. San Francisco's LGBTQ Center set up self-defense classes so people like Cal can defend themselves.
There's a real dire need for not only our community to feel safe, but within the queer community, trans folks are most being attacked during this time period. And within the loss of trans lives as a result of violence, we don't just want to empower trans people, we want to empower all of our community to feel safe.
A report from the California Justice Department shows that hate crimes dropped overall from 2022 to 2023, but crimes against LGBTQ members rose about 86%.
We need to empower a community to feel safe in our own spaces, but also to feel affirmed in their existence.
Do you want me to do like the 5 in the row and then we'll switch? Okay.
This experience left Cal with a sense of strength, only reinforced by the community around them.
Being in a room full of other people who also want to learn and want to know how to defend themselves in case of some sort of violence that may come up, that feels comforting in a way in spite of the scary things.
They feel ready, for a battle they'll hopefully never have to fight.
81 years ago, close to 200,000 men stormed the beaches of Normandy in what would be known as D-Day. Coming up, we're there as some of those men return to France to remember the soldiers who never came home. The last living World War II veterans are back in Normandy, France this week, as tomorrow marks 81 years since D-Day, the pivotal invasion that helped free Western Europe from Nazi control. It was a hero's welcome for the veterans, including Papa Jake from Martinez. On D-Day, he was on the command staff ship and hit the beach. He was awarded the Bronze Star for his role in the war. And every year on the anniversary of the invasion, Papa Jake reflects on the soldiers and their sacrifice.
They had no families, so they looked forward to us coming.
The World War II veteran has 1.2 million followers on TikTok, where he shares stories with younger generations as a reminder to never forget history. A famous Harry Potter actor is returning to the wizarding world after the break, who is dusting off their wand for their Broadway debut. Now, the Golden State Valkyries back on the court in Phoenix facing the Mercury tonight. We're going to be showing the game on our sister station, Pix Plus 44, Cable 12. Coverage starts at 6:30 p.m. A familiar face coming to the Broadway production of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Tom Felton reprising his role as the villain Draco Malfoy. The character is joining the cast starting November 11th and running through March 22nd. That production is going to be Felton's Broadway debut. That'll bring in some extra fanboys and girls, I'm sure, to the Broadway show. That is it for the afternoon edition this Thursday. Remember, we are streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Just go to Live and then choose Bay Area. Have a good afternoon.